I'm back again for another nighttime fantasy creature. How to draw a tutorial fantasy creature. But tonight I'll be doing a Kitsune. Now, Kitsune is generally a nine-tailed fox. In some stories, they're perceived to be people with nine blades, or I know in Teen Wolf, the Kitsune she's more of a spirit of a girl with nine knives than a nine tails. But yeah, tonight we'll just be doing a basic nine-tailed fox. So I've just made the canvas darker this time around just because it's easier to draw. It's easier on the eyes as well. Alright, so the first things first, I'm going to do a rough shape for the fox. So just going to be like a circle, and then kind of coming down, much like every other creature, that like that. And I'm going to shrink it down a little bit more. Nope, accidentally broke it. So I'm keeping it the same size by holding shift when I do that, because it'll go all funny if I don't hold shift. Alright, so rough shape, and then we'll go the foot down like this, and the ground would be about here, layering out where you're putting it all. And then 9 tails. So what I'm going to do is flesh out the rest of the character before I do the quick outlines of the tails. Just helps later to especially because I feel like the character needs to have a sleeker body. Alright, so I'll come in and just slight forehead. They're not really, when you look at a fox's face, their noses are very small. And then it comes down into a fur like this, where it goes into the back of the top of the head like that. And then the ear comes out from behind the neck like that. This other ear in like that. Alright. And as I suspected, the actual fox is a little bit too high for the rest of his body. So foxes' necks aren't huge like dragons are, so you've got to keep in mind that their bodies aren't going to be as long. I'm going to make him a fairly fluffy one, just because it'd be pretty fun. Alright. Just roughing out the shapes. All that fluff. Like that, into the back leg. So this is alright, so I've made one leg a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is come in, take this one out, and come back down so it matches. Like that, down like that. Yep, so the rough shaping like that. Now his legs are definitely way too long, so I'm going to cut them out and pull them up as well. So because it's still rough, it's alright to have all these bits and pieces around. Oh. Alright. Now at this stage, it's actually looking more like a dog than a fox. So I'm just gonna have a look. And I find that his head is still a little bit out for a fox. So I'm just gonna pull it out. his legs, Fox's legs aren't as curved as that. They're more straight. So I'm going to come in and take those out. Yeah, it's always a good idea, especially if you haven't drawn an animal before, to go through and see what it looks like. Alright. Now I also feel what's wrong at this stage. He's looking, we can keep him like that, you know. Furry chest that comes in to his legs. I'm going to make them a bit thicker because he's a furry foxy. Alright, so going to fur up his legs. And then comes into his paws. Into his little... Now he's a fantasy creature, so it can look a bit askew if you want it to. Alright. And then I'm going to kind of have this other foot in here. So his paws are definitely not going to be that long. But I'm just kind of doing a rough out for the moment. And then for his tails, I'm going to make a new layer just so I can make sure I've got them all. Alright. So the center tail, I'm just going to have up like this. Giving a lot of room so that the other tails have all the room. So it's going to come into a really thick like that. So I've got one. And then the next one, I'm going to kind of just lay them out like this. Kind of come up like this. Often like nine tails. You know, with all those pieces. Like that. Alright. Now once you get to number 3, it's going to get a lot harder to place tails, you know. So it's alright to give them a bit more flick and curl. And start shrinking them up toward the body. And then down here again. And, you know, doing opposite swirls, because the tail doesn't have to be the same direction. And then one last one in here. Alright. 9 tails. So we've got our basic Kitsune. Although I really am going to fix up this neck. I don't feel like it suits this kind of fox. Alright. I'm just going to join all my sketch layers with the tail and the body so it's easier to fix up. Alright, now the head I'm really liking. So we'll go like that. Alright, and so it kind of comes in. Alright. So the shape of our little foxy isn't quite looking like a fox. So I'm going to grab a different color, leave the color I have, and just kind of have a look. So fox will be, its head will be up a little. Like that. And then it'll come down, and then the back is straight until it hits the tail, and then it goes down into a leg. And then the front comes out of the chin. So it kind of goes in first. So kind of. But it's pretty. Ah, gotcha. So the legs are also too far backwards, which doesn't make it look as sleek. I'll try that. And then the body is just square. And their feet are quite small, so it'll be like that. Alright, and then the leg will come down. And adding a foot up here makes it look a little bit. And then that head needs to be a little bit more larger. There we go. Much nicer. Much more fox-like. I mean, it's still a little bit dog-like, but that's alright, you know, it's a kitsune. It's a mythical creature. Alright, so I'm going to come into a ink brush. Black. Now, I will most likely use this as another sketch layer, but if it turns out good, it turns out good. I always go for more than like 1 or 2 sketch layers because it makes a picture more like alive when you try, like, you know, do different versions. And then, like, also, you know, the different coloring and stuff of the fox is also going to impact the look of the fox. And, like, all the patterns on him. Like that, there we go. Much nicer already. Alright, now a thing I've also noticed with foxes is that their ears have more than like 1 layer. So there's like this piece in here that just helps signify that in there like that. There we go. And their ears are generally longer for some reason on this other side. like that. Alright, and then keeping this like that, and then following it out. Maybe a bit too square at the top there. And into the shoulder. And then a little paw. I'm just going to make it quite cat-like for this one. And furry. So a little bit of extra fluff in there. And then a little bit of a... because foxes have like darker coloured feet. Although that doesn't really look... There we go. Oh, there we go. Nice little foot. Still practicing my paws though, because the paws can be quite difficult to do. That's a bit better. Alright, this one here. Like that, in there like that. Alright, and then come over and, you know, adding that straight fluff on his belly. Then bringing this down. Oh, not like that. There we go. His leg going down like that. Mm. Doing these little toe beans. And up. Down. Not quite working for me today. That's alright, we'll go in. Right. But yeah, feet be very difficult. I'll leave it that like that for now. I suppose that looks alright. Nope. There we go. Zooming out. Alright, that looks a little bit funny, because the knee isn't where the knee is supposed to go, which is about here. There we go. See, single line can make it heaps of difference. Alright, then continuing that in like that. Alright, now because Mr. Number 8, the 8 tail is in front, I'm going to draw it first, so in here. And the extra colour change at the end of that tail. Number 7. Whoop. But something like Kitsune where there's got like so many extra limb, like tails, for example. It's good to number your number it, because then it's easier to just, go with it and add more or less if you need to. Oops. And continuing on, following all these tails around. Now, I guess if you were really going to do something a little bit different, you could also make each tail a different color, maybe for each element or something like that. I mean, there's probably more than the stereotypical earth, air, fire, water. You got metal, bug, steel, all that sort of thing. That's just common from Pokemon. Oops. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Might go into that more one day. Maybe I'll have an elemental series, set of characters or creatures. Definitely be a good thought. Let me know if you'd want me to continue with that idea. It'd be cool. Alrighty, now that we're finishing up with these tails, yeah, I'm really hoping that in the next couple of months, well, this year, main goal for this year is to get more dynamic, learn how to do poses better. Just really I know that's what's lacking in most of my stuff, is that dynamic posing. But I guess the biggest thing is that, I've got to learn how to draw the creature before I can pose it separately. But there might be some tricks out there, and if I discover them, I'll let you know for sure. Could just be practice, But yeah. I'm going to try and see if this works. I'm going to try and pull the body. That made so much difference. That definitely looks much nicer there with the body closer. Alright, well. And his foot's kind of up a little bit, so we'll pretend he's like on something. Like that. Alright, now he's just going to be, I really love the color of normal foxes, so he's going to be kind of like a normally colored fox, that. Okay, is that the right color though? A little bit darker. Try that. There we go. Just kind of doing all that. Because there's lots of open lines, because the fur, I find doing fur, especially if you've got lines, is the best ways to do it in flicker, like I've done, no joint lines. But of course that makes things take a little bit longer to color in later. Actually, I might see if making his eye bigger helps. We'll have a look, alright? Definitely makes a difference, Tiniest changes generally make or break a drawing, I found. Oops. Alright, now the ears generally have black, so I'm just going to go like that. There we go. But yeah, if anyone's interested, I'm gonna go. What I'm doing in the next week is quite busy, so I'll have graduation for uni at last, even though we technically finished uni last year. But yeah, the graduation's the middle of the next year. And so we get our certificate then, and it's going to be great. You know, officially qualified to be an animator and illustrator and all that, which will be great. And then I'm going to Supernova, so the Gold Coast Supernova. I'll be wandering around chatting to artists and stuff. There's a few I'll definitely visit generally just 'cause they're cool and I watch them and, you know, going around to ask them all what they think would be the best to start a table at Supernova 'cause next year me and my friend are going to grab a table and try and sell some prints. I mean, maybe I'll put these guys out there as like little postcards or something. That'll be fun. And yeah, just generally enjoy the show because I always love the cosplays that some people do. It's insane. And like that little cosplay show, holy crap. Like, I would never be able to do something like that. I mean, you know, I guess they would say the same about drawing, but it's just amazing what people can do and walk around in. Like, God, I find it difficult to walk around in high heels, and these people are walking around in like foam and cardboard armor and weapons and stuff. Like there was a few years where I'd be, you know, carrying around this wooden sword for a friend of mine. It's heavy. Like imagine that plus the armor and the extra stuff for it. Like wow. I appreciate these people. Even furries, I mean really. Like, you know, they're wearing those things that are impossibly hot. But yeah. Alright, so this tail's in front. Oh, we'll do that individually in a minute. Alright. So I'm going to put all the tails up to there as light, and then I'm going to start darkening them. Just a tiny bit. Because it just shows it's behind it. Alright, now this cream color, I'm just going to come in a bit more yellow. Oh. Like that. That's a nice one. A bit wider. There we go. And then, alright, so because his tail pieces are this color, I'll come in and just do the edges so I can paint bucket the rest of it. And then let's do the same thing where I come in and go a tad darker as I go around, but you know, fixing all these pieces like that, and then fix all those terrible white lines. There we go. But yeah, I really love these sorts of creatures. Like when you see different people's perspectives on what they would look like and everything, it is amazing. Like it's beautiful. These creatures are just truly magnificent. It would have been, you know, I guess in a world full of these creatures, it would be terrifying but amazing coming from this world, you know. Terrifying because you never know if these creatures are helpful and kind or cranky and wild, you know, like a kitsune is a fox after all. Alright, so we're going darker, so I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. Because, you know, you're not going to have bright white fur where the rest of the fur is going to be slightly darker. Like, it is going to be a tad different. Like, you know, matching that feel. There we go. Come in and fix all those bits and pieces. Like that, you know, nice and niceness. There we go. Alright. There we go. Now, normally with the extra time, I'd probably spend a few hours fixing all the fur and making it look all perfect because fur is beautiful. There we go. But just for this demonstration, it's more on how to draw and how to color. So, nice and quick. There we go. Using the paint bucket tool, you know, making it nice and quick to color it all in. I mean, you know, if you use a more solid style, whereas your line art is your main point of view, then it'll be a lot easier to use the paint bucket tool in this scenario, because all the lines will be joined in. But you know, this style I quite like, you know, nice and gives the fur a lot of flow. Here we go. Actually, my fox kind of reminds me of a corgi. But that's alright. Alright, go much darker for his little paws. This one's the same. And then a tad darker for these back ones. And then his ear is going to be mostly black, like that piece in there. And same with this one. Like that. And same with his nose, his little nose. And his eye is going to be blue. Well, the part of it that's not black anyways, you know. Fox's eyes are really dark. When you look at a fox, their eyes are quite darkened. Alright. So we've got our rough... Oh, we missed some. Just those pieces in amongst the ear and the ear itself. There we go. Alright. There's lots of bits and pieces. That's alright. Now, I'm going to do a quick go over with the color, like shading. So I'm going to go above that and I'm going to come into his eye first. I always love working on the eye first. Even if there's not much eye to work on, you know. It's just heaps of fun to play with. I mean, especially when you can influence an eye like that, you know. See, look how beautiful that is. It's just gorgeous. I'm just fixing pieces up like that. Alright. Now, Mr. Foxy Fox. Different color just to, you know, it gives it more flavor, I suppose, to a drawing when you change up the colors like that. And a little bit under his eye, because, you know, he's going to have color. Zooming out, just get all those pieces so you don't miss any. And then tails, more or less just where they overlap. And then the bottom of this one. And then we come in and show the color between and just start dabbing it out like that. Just, just dabbing it away, like adding that extra. It just adds dimension to it, especially if you change the hue. Like, if you just stick them with the dark color of that color, it doesn't look as interesting, and your character can often look a bit flat. There we go. Lots of bits and pieces in there like that. There we go. Well, going outside the lines there a tad, but that's alright. We're going for, it's a painterly soft style, really. There we go, and it's okay to blend the colours in like that. And then, any pieces that have kind of gone over the top like that. There we go. You could also spend the time to go over all of these, like, tails with special brushes with fur and all that. And it'll look really nice, like real fur. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to be quite quick. But if you want me to spend more time in the future, just let me know, up for suggestion. Always open for suggestion. And kitsunes can also be acquainted with the fire element. Like the one, especially on Teen Wolf, is more fiery. Like it's lots of flair and mystic and magic around them. Mine's more earthly, I suppose, like normal, stereotypical colored one. But yeah, you can associate them with magic. I mean, they are generally associated with magic, but like add magic to their environment. Perhaps put them in a magic forest or in a temple. They are exquisite creatures. One of the most beautiful fantasy mythical creatures there are. There we go. Just, coming in. But yeah, definitely study the creature you want to draw a little bit, I mean, yeah, it's good and fun, as I always usually do, to just go straight into drawing a creature, but it's also really good to research what the creature's about, There's always interesting stories in the world, and you can build a story from just, one idea of a drawing. I'm sure Pokemon got their nine-tailed fox from the idea of a kitsune. I mean, there is only one kind of nine-tailed fox after all. Yeah. Finalizing those ruffs. And zoom out. Looking alright. Nice painterly patchiness. And then the darkness to this part. And the fun with doing a nice soft brush and the line art underneath is that you can soften out the line art. It doesn't go perfectly the color, the rest of your creature is. It just softens it out. I know for a very long time as a beginner artist, I kept trying to work out how they made the line art look so beautiful. And then when you watch the concept artists go about doing their stuff, it's concept artists don't care about line art. It's just more or less just doing the character, and it looks really nice when they do it. You know, just plowing on top of that. More about the shapes than the lines, you know. Fox is all about fur, so you know the lines are going to be quite all over the place in a way. Just adding that extra flair to those tails. Darker over here. That one's about the same. It's that one that gets darker. And then this one. And dabbing them all in. There we go. And then I'm going to add the light to the main fox. So going toward the yellow hue. Adding that nice light orange. So when I generally colored him in flatly, I made him more darker than what the normal color would be. And that really helps when it comes into doing the shading. Like, it just amplifies those lighter colors, that normal color, I guess, when the light comes in. Like that, like nice and, you know, and when you feather it out, it looks a bit more, the painterly style kind of turns into like that fur looking, you know, all the fur is going to be slightly different anyways. And then if you want, you know, extra highlights, you just go over the top. But I'm going to do another overlay layer for this video when I'm done. Because overlay layers really are nice. They amplify the colors. Like the lights and darks and saturation of the colors. And it looks really nice if done right. And in the right places. There we go. A bit more on his face in there like that. Alright, now I've also forgotten about his legs here, so I'm just going to add a bit of darks. Not really much lights, just more for the dark side of it, you know. Because you don't want to leave it everything else shaded except for some parts, unless you want the eye to be drawn to those parts, you know. Only leave things, make things different if you want your eye to be drawn in that direction. Adding that light to those tails, even the darker ones, because they are still hitting the light, you know. Unless they're completely black, they're going to be hitting the light. Like that. And just a bit on his face. And then just blending through in there like that. And I'm going to add some darker colors to his fur. Down here. His feet. And then as well as his back beat. And then his ear a little bit more in there because it's looking a little bit plain. There we go. Pretty nice little nine fox. There we go. Nine-tailed fox, aka the Kitsune. My very painterly Kitsune. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. If you did put a thumbs down, let me know why, and, you know, any comments on how I could improve or what any feedback, and subscribe if you want to see more. So, next week's creatures include the phoenix, the Orthos, the demon dog, a Naga, which is a snake woman, Will-O-Wisp, which is going to be pretty easy, so I might do more than one of those, a Kirin, which is a dragon horse. But yeah, so stick around if you want to see or learn how to draw any of those. Any of the videos that I have done previously or will do in the future are going to be put in a playlist called How to Draw Fantasy Creatures, and they'll all be set in there with a nice little thumbnail. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you all later.